My brothers and sisters, tighten your seatbelts and open your hearts, because what I'm about to reveal is something global media will never whisper, let alone shout. Oprah Winfrey traveled to Africa expecting a simple interview, another documentary moment, another conversation for her archives. But the moment she stepped onto Burkina Faso soil, destiny had already rearranged itself. What she faced was not politics, not diplomacy, not a leader reciting rehearsed lines. No, she walked straight into a storm of truth. A truth so raw, so unfiltered, so powerful that her entire team tried unsuccessfully to bury it. But truth does not die, not when Ibrahim Traoré speaks it. And once the cameras rolled, the world changed before anyone realized what was happening. The sun was only a thin line of gold stretching across the quiet horizon when Oprah Winfrey's jet descended toward Ouagadougou. The runway shimmered beneath the newborn light, still wrapped in the final whispers of night. The land felt ancient, warm, rich with secrets carried by the slow-moving morning air. Dust floated in the sun like drifting gold. It was the kind of morning Africa gifts only to those who arrive seeking something deeper than headlines, deeper than fame, deeper than themselves. Oprah stepped down slowly, her feet touching Burkina Faso soil with an unusual heaviness. She had traveled the world, interviewed presidents, kings, rebels, prophets, and thinkers. But today felt different. Today felt spiritual before it even began. She wasn't here as a billionaire or a legend of television. She wasn't here as Oprah, the empire builder. She came as a seeker, a woman still searching for answers the world could not give her. For months, she had heard the whispers, social media clips of a young African president speaking with disarming courage, interviews where his tone carried the weight of truth, not politics. Ibrahim Traoré. A man praised by some, feared by others, misunderstood by many. A man whose honesty felt like a weapon. A man whose faith felt like a revolution. But what pulled her here wasn't politics. It wasn't curiosity about Africa's new wave of leadership. It was something unexplainable, a pull she couldn't ignore. Something told her that this man carried a version of God the world had forgotten. As she walked forward, cameras and aides trailing behind her, the air shifted. He appeared not surrounded by guards, not protected behind a wall of protocol. He walked alone, steady, calm, grounded, as if the earth itself had molded its balance around him. Madame Winfrey, he greeted with a soft French accent, warm enough to melt the last veil of distance. Welcome. In my country, faith is not theory, it is breath. Oprah smiled, feeling something inside her stir. That is exactly why I came. They moved together toward the residence, not a palace of marble or gold, but a humble, practical building that showed its purpose rather than its power. Inside, the first thing she noticed was a painting of an African mother, her child wrapped against her heart. The child's eyes glowed with innocence. The mother's eyes glowed with eternity. She reminds us, he said, noticing Oprah's gaze, that God speaks first through love. In 170 Dud, the interview began, but it didn't feel like an interview. The air between them felt holy, heavy, alive. Cameras rolled, but their presence faded. There was no stiffness, no formality, only truth waiting to be spoken. Mr. President, Oprah began softly, people around the world admire your courage. But today, I want to explore the source of that courage, your faith. Traoré nodded slowly. Faith is the wind we cannot see, he answered, but feel. It carries us where fear cannot. But Christianity today, Oprah continued, seems fractured, divided, interpreted in 1,000 different ways. What do you see when you look at the global Christian world? He breathed in deeply, as though the question required time to settle into the soul. I see a message built on freedom, he said gently, used by some to create captivity. Jesus came to break chains, yet some used his name to build them. Faith became a monument instead of a movement, a performance instead of a path. The room fell silent. Oprah felt a chill, not from cold, but from recognition. So you believe Christianity has lost something? Not lost, he said, but buried. Buried under rituals without compassion. Buried under preaching without service. Buried under fear disguised as holiness. He leaned forward slightly. The world speaks of Jesus, but rarely walks like him. Oprah felt her throat close for a heartbeat. The honesty was sharp, unfiltered, almost painful. And Africa? She whispered. What has Christianity done here? His expression darkened with memory. It arrived with two hands. One hand taught love. The other carried power. The first spoke of compassion. The second demanded obedience. They told us to close our eyes and pray, and when we opened them, our land was claimed. Oprah's breath caught. But that was not the Christianity of Jesus, he said. It was the Christianity of empire. She sank back, the truth pressing into her chest. So Africans practicing Christianity today, are they wrong? No, he answered quickly. Faith is not the enemy, but fear is. And fear was woven into the version of Christianity brought here. A faith that makes you feel small cannot heal you. A God who punishes your existence cannot save you. That is not God. That is power wearing a holy mask. Outside, the voices of children drifted through the open veranda, laughter echoing like soft bells. Look at them, he said, nodding gently. They do not know denominations. They do not know divisions. They know love. That is what faith should be. Oprah stepped closer to the veranda, watching the children chase each other beneath the morning sun. Mr. President, she murmured, you speak of Jesus as if you feel him beside you. Traoré nodded slowly. Perhaps he walks with anyone brave enough to live truth. She turned back to him. So who is Jesus to you? He took a long breath, eyes rising toward the heavens as if searching for words somewhere in the sky. He is the voice that steadies me when the world shakes. He is the courage when my hands tremble. He is not a distant figure from a foreign land. He is truth made flesh, love made rebellion, strength made sacrifice. The room felt smaller now, warmer, charged. And yet, Oprah whispered, religion divides. Religion wounds. Religion destroys. He nodded. Because religion is man's creation, truth is God's. She swallowed hard. So what should Christianity mean to Africa now? It should mean liberation, he said. Freedom from mental chains. Freedom to see God without permission. Freedom to love without fear. He stepped closer, his voice low, deep. If your faith teaches you to hate yourself or your brother, it is not faith, it is programming. The camera operator swallowed audibly behind the lens. And for the children taught that only their religion is right? Oprah asked. I would tell them to question, because truth does not fear questions, only lies do. The sun climbed higher, painting the room with gold. But Africa had God long before the missionaries came, he continued softly. We found him in the rivers, the trees, the drums, the sky. We found him in creation long before a Bible reached our soil. They did not introduce us to God. They introduced us to their version of him. Oprah closed her eyes, overwhelmed. So Africa was never godless, she whispered. No, he replied. Africa was never lost, only misled. Even hours later, the conversation felt like a fire that refused to die. Every answer carried the weight of centuries. Every silence carried the echoes of ancestors. By the time the cameras stopped, Oprah felt as though she had shed an old skin. When the interview aired, it spread like wildfire. Millions watched, millions debated, millions felt something cracking open inside them. Some called it heresy. Some called it enlightenment. Some said Oprah had encountered a revolutionary. Others said she had met a prophet, but Oprah wrote only one sentence in her journal that night. He did not teach me a new faith. He reminded me of the one that always lived inside me. Meanwhile, under the ancient shade of a towering baobab, Ibrahim Traoré kneeled quietly. Not as the president, not as a symbol, but as a man speaking softly to the God who had carried him through storms. A man who believed, with every breath in his body, that love is the only path that leads humanity home.